Careers are one of the most fascinating and one of the most treacherous things that characterizes the modern corporate world. For those who reach the highest pinnacles of its glory, it's a subject of great joy, great pride, and great satisfaction. And for those it does not turn out that way, it's a matter of, at the very least, bafflement. As I look back on my own 2.5 decades of career and my experience of having run 50 half marathons across the length and breadth of this country, from mountains to seashores to trails to jungles, I realized that there are fundamental different similarities between what it takes to run a long distance and to succeed in a multi-decade long career. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to distill some of these lessons that I picked up along the way to share with you. At its heart, there are three things that is quite similar between running a long distance and preparing and having a long career. The first is the sheer number of variables that both of them entail. What will make you successful and what will eventually perhaps impact your success. The number of things are just too many, and some of those variables actually interplay with each other. Number two is the fundamental uncertainty in both. While you show up at the beginning of the race and the beginning of your career and put your best foot forward, reality is a 20-kilometer distance and a 2.5 decade or 3 decade career is a very long way ahead. And there are many things that may not go according to plan. And finally, the third similarity between both is the interplay of time. Because there is so much of gap between when you begin and when you will end, anything can happen. The sheer number of things that make both of them unpredictable is a subject of great fascination and sometimes subject of great grief. And here are my 10 lessons for all of you who are either at the beginning of your career or in the middle of your career, or if I were to borrow a metaphor from marathon, in the last few kilometers as you're traversing a long distance. The first, the run actually begins much before the run begins. My thesis is that you actually begin the run the moment you take the decision that you have to run a long distance. And from the moment you take that decision to the moment that you have laced up in the beginning point of a long distance, all that goes in between these 2 points determines whether you will succeed or whether you won't. What you eat, how you train, what you consume, how you prepare, all of that makes a material difference. Across these 50 runs, I've run in broadly 3 states of preparation. Either I was extremely well prepared, or I was extremely unprepared, or something in between. And I must share that in each one of those circumstances, the result was different. Careers also follow the same template. Either you are completely prepared for the long run, or you're completely unprepared for the long run, or somewhere in between. But irrespective of which point of this continuum you belong to, reality is how you prepare, how you study, what does it take for you to prepare for the next role, the next assignment, the next organization, if I can use that word, makes a material difference to what you will eventually succeed. So never for a moment, for those who are preparing for long careers, must believe that your careers will begin only once you start it. Sometimes it starts way before it has actually started. The second lesson from running multiple long distances that I've all picked up that what appears easy is rarely easy. There was this run called Satara Marathon in Maharashtra that is a very fascinating example. It's 10.5 kilometers of continuous climb up the cliff of the mountain. And one would start to believe that climbing up that kind of elevation is actually the harder part. It's only when you reach at the top and you realize that 10.5 kilometers is still to go, and this time you will be going completely downhill without any break, that you realize that what appeared the easy part of the marathon is actually the tougher part of marathon. What appears easy is often not easy. The same applies to careers. What appears to be an easy role, what appears to be an easy assignment, what appears to be easy circumstances, what appears to be an easy environment sometimes is not necessarily so. Because easy misleads us. Difficult trains us. Easy can sometimes make you much more unprepared for the larger game, for the next role, for the higher position that you're aspiring for. And a big lesson that such runs have taught me in my career is as follows. Easy and hard is in the context of your ambition. We must search for that which is right for our career and not necessarily easy. Sometimes we search for physically easy assignments, some assignments which are, let's say, less field, assignments, let's say, which are less strenuous. Sometimes we look for emotionally easy assignments, assignments which don't have constant up and down, that don't have challenges, that are not under too much of scrutiny, and so on and so forth. Or we look for assignments which are intellectually easy, something that we may be able to do comfortably without exerting and asserting ourselves beyond our comfort zone. The point is, if you search for easy, you don't build your muscle for the future, which is your ambition to grow in the hierarchy. The third lesson is respecting the track. Many years back, I was ready to run the Shimla Marathon. Now, those of you who have gone to Shimla would know Mall Road is at the top of kind of the city, and the announcer was saying something to this effect on a chilly winter morning. Runners, you will now run about 5 kilometers straight down the bottom of this hill. By the time you reach there, your knees will be gone. Then you will take another route and climb up back to the Mall Road within 2.5 kilometers at a much steeper incline. By that time, your back will be gone and you would only be 6.5 kilometers into the run. Ladies and gentlemen, that's when the marathon begins. I didn't quite get it till the time I struggled back. And when half of the friends who had gone along with me happily waved goodbye to me and entered the India Coffee House, I had a choice to make whether I would continue or join them in the coffee shop. And I learned a very important lesson that during marathons and careers, while your own training, your own body and your own mind matters, what also matters is the track. Experienced runners respect the track. They do not believe that they are bigger than the track. You can increase your speed, decrease your speed, sometimes walk, sometimes crawl, sometimes just take a break, because you know if you can somehow deal with this particular hump in your track, you will still be pretty much in the race. Careers are a lot like that. Some assignments are hard, some assignments are easy. There are good times, there are bad times. There is upheaval in the industry, there is upheaval in the organization. You must respect the circumstance in which that particular assignment is taking place. There must be no ego, there must be no view that I have been there and done that. Experienced runners know it, and experienced career professionals also know it. A very fascinating example of crowd support is the one called the Mumbai Marathon. Any of you who would have done that would know that as you enter, let's say the 14th kilometer, which is the last 30% of the run, there is crowd on both sides of the road. And you realize that tired bodies frankly need something which is as beautiful as crowd support, when there are children and there are families who come out and cheer for tired limbs and tired runners. Careers don't get built only on the dint of your hard work. It is said that while only everybody knows that it will be your legs and your legs alone who will take you from the beginning to the end of a marathon, only an experienced marathoner knows that that run is not being run alone. Every other runner is a co-participant along with you. Careers are also like that. You have to win people above you. You have to win people below you. Most importantly, you have to win people who run alongside you. Winning bosses, very important. Winning subordinates, very important. Winning peers, most difficult, but very important. And the reason is as follows, that you realize that this journey is not really a solo journey, even when it feels that it is a solo journey. A very important realization that long distance runners often arrive sooner than later is that talent is overrated. And the one thing that differentiates good runners from average runners, good professionals from average professionals, is the ability to last the distance. The first few kilometers are run on the basis of your strength, on your training, and on your preparation. As body tires, you start dipping into an energy which has got nothing to do with your body. It's the mind playing tricks. Careers are exactly like that. When you begin with enthusiasm. You begin with energy. You're out there to prove something. You are almost innocent. It's only after a decade or so, or even more, that you realize that the world is not a perfect place. And sometimes crazy things happen. Sometimes you get rewards when you want them, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you grow when you want, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you believe that you are the most worthy of something that somebody else got. Naivety leads to reality, pragmatism. Runners know that when such circumstances hit you, it's your ability to stay put in the race. That's the differentiator. I would have an argument and say that ability to last a distance is perhaps a greater ability than any other in any long distance journey, either of running or of careers. Most of us, at some point or the other, ask ourselves this question, whether our background makes us more amenable to corporate success or career success. The colleges that we go, the socioeconomic background that we come from, or anything else that goes in the name of a solid background. Whether you are an urban child or a rural child or a suburban child, etc., are the questions that sometimes baffle us. Runners know it. Your background doesn't matter. What you have done in the past doesn't matter. What matters is how well trained and how well prepared you are for this particular race this morning. And suddenly, a huge surge of confidence emerges in your head because you know that nothing else is going to matter except me and the race ahead in front of me. That kind of confidence sometimes is witnessed by people from very humble background reaching right up till the top, and you wonder, what is it that took them to those heights? It's this realization which says background does not matter, whether in long distances or whether in careers. One of the most fascinating thing about long distance running, and let's say sprints, is this. There are winners and losers in short distances, and only the top 3 get a medal. However, there are no winners and losers in marathons. There are finishers. Everybody who finishes the distance gets the medal. Isn't it absolutely phenomenal difference between the two? Because only a marathoner knows that you're not competing with others. You're not running somebody else's race, you're running yours. And as long as you're finishing your race, you deserve that medal. And the concept in marathons is also funny. People talk about what is my PB, my personal best. Which means that you're wondering not about how much was the time of somebody else, but what was your time in the last race and what is your time in this race. The common realization of running is this, that you run your race, you compete with your version of yesterday. Careers are a lot like that. There are no winners and there are no losers. There are only finishers. People who can last till 60, if you want to work till 60, with their head held high, their esteem held high, their body in place, their mind in place, and they have achieved what they set out to achieve, and they were better than what they were yesterday. Their thinking is better, their worldview is better, their way of appreciating the world is better. I think they deserve to get the medal. And only a marathoner knows it so well. While you may have run 50 marathons, and as I have done, I can assure you that every time you begin a new one, you are as nervous as you were the first time. Because you know it very well, today could be different. The weather could be different. The humidity could be different. The ups and downs could be different. The terrain could be different. Frankly, the body could be different. You can just not predict what's going to happen today. And that is the kind of humility all long distance runners have. They know they have not run this before, and therefore they must respect this particular run. They do not suffer what common corporate people suffer from, which is called the experience fallacy. Because I have done this before, therefore I can do this every time, can sometimes be a very dangerous fallacy to live with. Finally, only runners know this, that it was their fortune to run this particular race. They treat it with some degree of humility. Corporate careers are also like that. People who grow really fast and long are the ones who respect the organizations that they work for, or the assignments that they pursue, or the profession that they are fortunate enough to practice. They don't consider themselves to be bigger than their profession. The profession is bigger. Their interests come later. Because remember, while the tree is important in the context of the fact that it belongs to the jungle. The jungle is more important than the tree. Last but not the least, when you feel that you have been there, done that, all that you had has been given to this life, to this race, even when you are on the last breath of your life, only a runner knows, I have at least one more run left in me. That's not only true for runs, that's also true for life, that's also true for career. And I end by saying this, in life, in running, and in career, we must last the distance. Thank you very much.